Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the regular monthly meeting of the Mayor and Council, Monday, April 27th, 2026, being started at 6:34 p.m. Missy, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Nunziato.
Here.
Council President McGowan.
Present.
Councilman Coakley. Councilman Errico.
Here.
Councilman Guzman.
Here.
Councilman Del Ricon.
Here.
Councilman Mazzone.
Here.
Thank you. If you're able, could you please stand for the salute to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Thank you, everybody. Missy, could you please read the provisions?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, notice of this meeting was transmitted to the Record and Herald News and filed with the Borough Clerk on November 21, 2025, and is posted on the bulletin board outside of Borough Hall.
Thank you, Missy. Presentations tonight. The police department has been accredited, the accreditation presentation. I'd like to thank the police department, Chief Russo. This is the first time we've ever been accredited, and through all your hard work and getting that new building, as much as I know you've enjoyed it with Bob, I really appreciate your efforts, as I'm sure the rest of the council do. So we're going to move forward with the presentation.
Thank you. I'm Harry Delgado. I am the Director of Accreditation for the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And I'm very proud tonight to represent them and recognize the Rutherford Police Department. So just to add context to what I'm about to say, there's from all the agencies that would be eligible to apply for accreditation in the state of New Jersey, and that includes colleges and universities, anyone that has a legitimate law enforcement police department. Only about 52% of those have actually achieved it. But that speaks to the fact that it's a very difficult process. And what is special about the Rutherford Police Department is they did it on their own, by themselves, which is incredible. But I was talking to the chief just before, and I think we all acknowledge that during that process, that's the only way to actually acquire that transfer of knowledge that takes place when you tackle the process, if you will, on your own, without consultants, without the help of consultants. But anyway, before I digress, if you indulge me for 2 minutes, I'd like to share with you the significance of the achievement. So the Rutherford Police Department has made a commitment to adhering to best practices at the state and national level on a highly regarded statewide law enforcement accreditation program. This program, administered to the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police and the New Jersey Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, has helped to transparently demonstrate the professionalism, transparency, and preparedness of state's law enforcement agencies in the state's police safety system. Now, accreditation is more than a professional distinction. It is a strategic investment in organizational excellence. It positions law enforcement agencies to operate at the highest levels of professionalism while enhancing public trust, reducing risk, and promoting long-term operational success. So this prestigious accredited status demonstrates Chief John Russo's firm commitment to state and national standards and the continued expectations for quality, professional, and ethical policing of the Rutherford Police Department. It should be said that government officials can be more confident in the agency's ability to operate efficiently and meet community needs when the agency is accredited, and officers in accredited agencies can take pride that they have been objectively recognized for their professionalism and adherence to the highest standards in the nation. So the Rutherford Police Department will continue to move forward following best practices, a preparedness plan, and a verification of excellence. So it is our opinion of the State Association of Chiefs of Police that the Rutherford Police Department is a highly professional and committed agency which exemplifies all of the tenets of law enforcement accreditation at the state and national level. Therefore, on behalf of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, it is indeed my honor here tonight to congratulate Chief John Russo, Accreditation Manager Sergeant Bruce Reed, the members of the Rutherford Police Department, the mayor, the council, and those citizens that they so proudly serve for having achieved accreditation, joining a very exclusive group of law enforcement agencies that make this commitment to excellence in policing. So to all, indeed, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'd ask the council to step down in a second, I'd first ask the chief and the members of his department to please step forward and take a photo. Kim? Thank you. I'd ask you guys to stay there, and the council, please step before the dais. Come on for the photo. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You want to get in the middle?
Oh, he makes everyone very short.
Bob? Yes. By watching Bob and the chief fight over this whole Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Yep. Speak to you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I just want to add to what Harry said about the accomplishment. I want to thank Sergeant Bruce Reed and Lieutenant Scannell. Lieutenant Scannell put a ton of work into this while he was recovering from a surgery and put together all of our testing that all the officers had to do online. A tremendous accomplishment. Usually you pay for those tests from companies, consultants. You put them on your system and the officers take them. He actually generated all that himself. It was just unbelievable workload. Sergeant Reed, the accreditation manager, I just cannot say enough about what he did with this process. To be able to do this without a consultant, like Harry said, is truly amazing. Because we were never accredited, so we did not speak that language our entire career. We didn't know what we were getting involved in. I had an idea of what we were about to go through, but when I asked Bruce to do this, and I told him that we were not going to have a consultant doing it, he was more than willing, and I have to tell you, he did it so quickly and so professionally, just spot on. I could not have asked for a better two people to be involved with this. To be honest with you, I don't think we would be here today if I didn't have either one of those here. So kudos to them. They did a tremendous job. Kudos to this council and Borough Administrator Kakoleski for what you did getting us to that point with the building. We would have never tried to achieve accreditation without a new building. You saw that, you understood it, and we don't have to revisit that experience, but I'm glad we're over, I'm glad we're over there, and thank you again for everything you've done. Thank you.
Now we have another presentation. Council President, would you please step down front?
Sure.
Can we have the members of the Elks please step forward?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I am honored to present the proclamation to the Rutherford Elks Lodge 547. Whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks has designated May 1st through the 7th as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition of their services to community, state, and the nation. And whereas Rutherford Elks 547 will sponsor and observe during this week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community. And whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in the years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society. And whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop those qualities of character essential for future leadership and go forth to serve America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Mayor Frank Nunziato and the Borough Council do hereby proclaim the first week in May as Youth Week and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups and our citizens generally to participate wholeheartedly in its observance. Congratulations. Can everyone come down, please?
Can everybody join us in front of the dais? Review the changes to the podium. We have no changes on the agenda tonight. We have the public hearing of the budget. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? That took way longer than I thought to get up there.
Nobody else wants it. It's just David Labruno, 423 Stuyvesant. Just a few questions directed to the council, but maybe our business administrator could answer for the public. Looking at the presentation from a couple weeks ago, so it was mentioned that the assessed value for the community is 2.7. We'll leave it at that number, 2.7 billion, and then that assessed value is down 9.6 million, and it was said that it was a lot due to utilities, less than 50% home phones, so that utility assessment comes off the board, and I was just wondering what that number might be, because we've discussed in the past, there seems to be a lot of development in the town, at least homes being redone. All of those get reassessed, I understand. So I'm wondering about the delta that's involved in that, right? If utilities went down, but these other went up, I'm just wondering about those numbers and how we come to those conclusions. Because then in the past, we mentioned there's a lot of, well, I guess a year or two ago, There's a lot of outstanding building permits that hadn't been closed out. Once those get closed out, all those homes are reassessed also. So just wondering about those two issues, because the second one that I mentioned right there was something that had been discussed in the past that was being handled. Second comment that I had was, and it's not in the budget, and actually I didn't have time to come to City Hall to check on that, or Borough Hall. In the budget, it talks about an amount of revenue associated with parking meters, which is $411,000. Was just wondering how many parking meters we have in the community, and then that works out to be some number per parking meter, because I know in the last meeting we had some conversation about parklets and cost and all those things. So I think that kind of number would inform the decision, and then, of course, it was rejected. But is it going to go on forever? Or what type of notice would have to be provided to our local establishments so that they would know maybe these things are going to happen in the future? I know they made investments at this time. Luckily, the tax structure lets them do 100% business deduction currently. Third thing I had to ask about, and I didn't dig through all the budget to see, but tax abatements. In there, in the short budget every year, it has an amount that is foregone in tax abatements, right? The real amount that would be collected under standard taxes versus what it is with respect to what we collect for the tax abated properties. And there's an amount that is foregone, as I just mentioned. And, you know, that we saw with the budget, approximately 60%, 59 point something percent of the budget goes through the school system. So, you know, that informs future decisions also, because that's a large amount of money that's not provided to the school system, but goes directly into this budget. So, right, the numbers work some way, right? The school budget makes up a certain amount, and the town budget makes up a certain amount, and our budget is lower, and right, so we're not responsible for the school system, but they both interplay a lot. So there was that, and then it was also mentioned that we collected more than anticipated in tax abatements, and for the tax abated properties, and I was wondering how that happened, because you know, there's anticipated numbers. We relied on a financial analysis when these development projects occurred, which said these properties are not going to be viable without a tax abatement. And the only way that we collect more money is, as I understand it, is if their revenue increases. And if their revenue increases, we get that certain amount, but we only get a 20%, and we only get a recapture when their profit goes above 12%. So I would think then that they collected 12% in profit, where when we had our financial analysis by our service providers, they said the project wasn't viable because they'd only make 3%. And then we said, well, we have to give them a tax abatement so that they make 6% or something like that. I don't quote me on the numbers, but you guys certainly are aware of them and can look them up. So to make the project viable, that was necessary. But the only way, as I understand it, like I said, maybe you could explain to me, was if they collect more than, or they make more than 12%. So you can see either something happened that we didn't expect, or our financial analyst didn't expect. So that should inform us in the future about how good these projections are, how good these numbers are. So those are the comments. And then lastly, about the transparency and dropping whatever that resolution was. Again, I'll urge the council for the future to put in some ordinance suggested by the state community development portion of the state, adopted under Murphy, about having an ordinance that would lay out what is required for future tax abatements in order to grant that, so the community would have information. Because as I remember last time, the financial analysis was a simple spreadsheet that listed what we get and what we will get. And when we first started this project, and this tax abatement stuff, and Agnew had a stack of papers like this that laid out all of the financials, what expected costs were, what blah, 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 on and on. And it seems like over the course of time, the amount of information that was submitted and that the decisions were made on, or at least that were presented to the public, has been reduced by a large amount. So I would think that at least, you know, different than a resolution, which of course you can adopt any kind of rules that you want in the way that you organize yourself, but the state suggests that
You're
you
over
have...
5, but I'll let you
Oh,
finish
give me
up.
1 second. The state suggests that communities should have an ordinance that lays out the requirements and what should be obtained from the developer and then what should be provided to the public, so an appropriate weighing of the considerations can be made. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Frank, should go first?
My name is Josephine Gottberg. I live at 279 West Erie Avenue, and I'm on behalf of the residents of Erie Avenue between...
Ma'am, are we speaking to the budget?
I don't think so, but I
There's
want...
there's another moment for that to happen, but it's
okay.
just not right now.
Okay.
Good evening. Frank Wilson, 171 Montrose Ave. To make this quick, because I have to run over to the Board of Education budget, which is the same night, which should not happen. You guys got to change that. First thing, I don't know if you have any impact is to rolling our healthcare with theirs, but their budget's calling for almost $13,000 in healthcare costs. I haven't looked at what ours is, but theirs is $13 million, excuse me, in healthcare costs. Their cost per child is now up to $20,000 per student. They're showing an increase of 72 kids this year over last year, which I keep driving home these pilots that don't go to the school system, and somewhere they've raised it 72 kids in a year. So they're coming from someplace, which leads me to say, please stop giving away pilots. The Parkers that's over in East Rutherford, that big building, is built with no pilot. So obviously developers want to come to this area. When we gave away the Amazon building, they pay nothing really on that. They pay it on the land. I looked it up. It's a vacant lot. So this just goes to show what's going on. There are people in Rutherford, so we need to stop watching this stuff. I'm glad the parklets were brought up again, because I had this thought the other day, is that if it's still $300 now and it's $300 from 5 years ago, we've raised taxes on everything in this town and food's gone up, but the parklets haven't gone up a nickel. So how does that work? That we're raising citizens on this, we're raising citizens on that, but the parklets stay the same. Anybody that can afford $250,000 for a liquor license, I'm sure could pay their fair share on a parklet. Correct me if I'm wrong. We can also, if we want, that saying, well, we can't raise it because it's a parking meter. I looked into that also. If you put a municipal bag or whatever it is above the meter, and now that meter is null and void, the parking space is now null and void. Look it up. So now you don't have to abide by that $300 thing because there's a meter there. If the meter now is sealed up with one of those vinyl bags and it's no longer a working meter, we can then raise it to get some more revenue in this town. But again, if you want their budget, I've got it. And I keep saying to everybody, 60%, and at $20,000, as you well know, cost per kid, and 72 kids came from someplace, you gotta watch out what we're doing, especially with these pilots, because it's not all on this side. But between the two of us, I'm hoping we can get somewhere a better deal on healthcare, because $13 million just on their side, I don't know what our side is, but if you put them both together, it's got to be a better package. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right, we're going to close it now regarding the hearings on the budget. Resolution separate for consent.
Mayor, we have have to open it up for the public hearing for the open space grant.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that one. My bad. Anybody wishing to speak to the open space grant? Seeing none, I'm going to close it.
Mayor, can I just explain what the grant is?
I was going to open it up to you in a
Okay,
second,
sorry.
but go ahead.
So just so what everyone knows, we're applying for, with the Bergen County Open Space application, is funding to resurface the ADA playground at Memorial Field, known as Kid Spot, new rubberized surfaced, as well as funding for a small ADA parking lot near the playground. The funding for that is part of your tax dollars that you pay. There's a county open space component of your tax bill. That is the funding that we're applying to get back to Rutherford. So that's this year's application. So, just.
Now, with that being said, does anybody now want to speak to this? Nobody from public, anybody from the council have anything to say on this? Seeing none, I'm going to close it. Now I have resolutions separate from consent.
Thank you, Mayor. First is Resolution Number 101, amending the 2026 municipal budget. Motion.
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Delray Cone. Any questions or comments by the council? Bob?
Let me explain what the amendment is. It's a couple of minor adjustments. One is just correcting the proper placement of the state aid line within the budget. It was incorrectly put on one line when it should put on another, but by law, we have to correct the line and correct the totals of everything that impacts. So while the amendment might look very long, it's not a huge amendment. That's one of the amendments. The second amendment is just making an adjustment to the DPW salary and wage line item as all the overtime from this year's winter season finally hit the books. We realized that we've underfunded that account, so we're increasing it to make up for that. Then there's an offsetting increase in one of the revenue items to offset that increase. So those are the two major changes, actually two only real changes to the budget. The changes themselves do not trigger anything requiring an advertisement. It has been reviewed by the state of New Jersey. The state of New Jersey has approved the budget with the amendments as listed here tonight. So I just figured I want to speak to that before the council voted.
Thank you. Now, based on Bob's information, does anybody now have anything they want to speak to on this particular one? Thank you. I'd ask for council consent. Roll call, please.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Delroy Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is Resolution Number 102, authorizing the adoption of the CY 2026 municipal budget. Motion.
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second? Then I'll have Bob speak to it, and then we can all comment.
Did somebody second?
Second.
Need a second?
Okay, so now you're opening it to discuss the
Oh, I
public comment?
didn't get a second. Did I get a second?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Councilman Guzman. Bob, could you explain it, please?
Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to go into the details of the budget. We've done that numerous times already, but I would like to take this opportunity to address some of the questions or comments that came up during the public hearing, specifically about the assessed valuation going down by $9.6 million. And the 90% of that reduction was due to a significant reduction in the number of landlines used within the town, specifically Verizon. By law, if 51% of the homes do not have tone, as it's quoted as, dial tone land use lines, it allows the utility, in this case Verizon, to apply or file their tax forms differently By doing that, they didn't have to go through a certain process that required them to be part of our rateable base for this year. Hence, why our reduction in assessment occurred. Specifically, 9.2 million of that 9.6 million is attributed to this Verizon issue. The other 400,000, you had some add and omitteds, you had some tax appeals. We had some significant tax appeals last year, one with the hotel, the Renaissance Hotel, and the other tax appeal that hit the books last year was the reduction for the parking garage at the 201-301 Route 17 office complex. So that is the gist of why those ratables went down. And always, I know this leads to the next question: when is the reval going to occur? And as we all know, we have been ordered by the county tax board to begin that process. It looks like we're going to be completing that process in 2028. The firms that are eligible to perform that service, their calendars are booked already through 2027. They would not be able to take on another municipality, and there are several towns in Bergen County alone that have been ordered, and then they're faced the same dilemma that we have. So 2028 we'll begin that process, so we'll be going through that starting next year. Number of parking meters, I think I heard that come up. We have over 400 parking meters in town, and a tax and a pay station in the KIPP garage. And why do we realize more revenue in pilots or tax abatements? Well, when we get those financial statements and they get reviewed, and we realize that in prior years there was some, to your point, additional revenues were realized, and that they owed us a little bit more, and our financial advisor was able to dig through the documents that were provided to the borough. Specifically, it was the warehouse, the Amazon warehouse was the one where we realized a little bit more last year, because that whole corporate structure, when Link Equity sold it to UBS, the whole tax abatement concept, was kind of foreign to them. So our financial advisor had to do a little bit of an education process with the UBS people, and so we got the money owed to us, and we realized it in last year's budget. So hopefully I've answered those questions that were addressed by the public tonight. That's it for me.
Thank you, Bob. I'll now open up for any council comment, and also Gordon does have a microphone should you have any questions directly for him. Councilman?
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's good that Bob spoke first, because I was going to come at my comments in a moment of frustration, and I actually never think it's good to speak from a place of frustration. So now I'm going to speak from a place of fact. I cannot stress enough again how dangerous it is to make public comments implying that information is being kept from the community. I can't stress it enough, and it happens repeatedly, and I'm not sure why, and it's always with well, you can look it up if you want to know what's being kept from you. It's incredibly frustrating, it's incredibly dangerous, and we're living in a world where more and more information is being manipulated, and in a way that really impacts our community and our neighbors negatively. So I challenge anyone who really thinks that we're keeping information from them to specifically ask for that information and be told no, and then come back here and say it was kept from them, because that simply won't happen. I also need to address, because it came up, and I hate that it keeps coming up, the fact that we somehow did away with a resolution about transparency. A resolution is a piece of paper. I understand, Mr. LaBruno, what you were saying is that maybe it needs to be an ordinance, but it goes back to the same premise, which is I, as a councilwoman, have never asked for information that I've not received, and I've never been asked for information that I haven't shared. So a system requiring transparency that we indulged under a prior governing body was done that way because members of that governing body were not seeking information, and instead were requiring that we discuss it on the dais. That is no longer necessary. If you have a question about an ordinance, and I open this up to everyone, or a resolution, or anything really, I challenge you to contact one of us and see what will happen. You will get it. You will get that information. The other buzzwords that were used that are just constantly used are pilots. I'm not sure, we have yet to see any of the buildings built, for which we have given pilots. But I want to remind the community that we are in the unique rock and hard place situation of needing to build affordable housing, needing to have developers that want to build here build that housing, and to do so legally, they are entitled to ask for pilots. So it is not an enviable position, but to say that we are willy-nilly giving up pilots, my favorite is when people bring up Agnew, which I've heard about as a curse word since I got here to Rutherford in 2017 and still hasn't been built. So I think we need to be really careful about the words we use for public consumption. That's just my personal opinion. Mr. Wilson has left. I wanted to speak to the parklet situation. No one on this dais that I know of, but I'll at least speak for myself, said that we were not considering increasing the price of the fees for parklets. We recognize it has been the same fee for a while. What we said was, I thought, that we were not making any changes for this year because there was not enough notice given to the business owners to plan for that. No one said we are not going to increase it, and I actually personally will speak for myself. I think that's a very good idea. Finally, Mr. Wilson said, and I quote, "We should find a better deal on health care." I could not agree with him more. If he knows where to find such deals, I encourage him to provide us with that information. But I can assure you that our borough administrator, as well as all of our staff, as well as our advisors, as well as our insurers, we're doing the best we can with a really terrible situation that is, I would say, an epidemic of cost around the country and not something plaguing Rutherford. But Mr. Wilson, if you listen to this later, if you have ideas for how, to quote, get a better deal on healthcare, I think you should be advising a lot of people, not just the borough of Rutherford. So I thank you for any information you can provide in that regard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else from the council? Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment of gratitude to acknowledge the great work. I believe that was done in an extraordinarily challenging year by our CFO, Gordon Stelter, and to our Borough Administrator, Bob Kekaleski, and also to acknowledge the work that's been done by department heads. I've actually lost count of what year I'm on as the finance liaison for the council. This has probably been the most trying year of all of them, particularly because the request was we will not compromise the services of our residents. And in the same breath, we need to find a responsible way to present a budget that minimizes, we knew there would be impacts, but would minimize it to the best of our ability. And I know it's jarring when people hear 2.95% in Rutherford because we have worked so hard during your entire tenure here, Mayor, and mine as well, about maintaining that level, you know, at a very conservative rate. But I want to encourage those who are concerned about that to listen to the budget increases of municipalities around us, across Bergen community and across the state. And so I felt like before we adopted this, I know that you've done a great presentation at our last meeting. Gordon, I know how many times we've come back to you. Councilwoman Delray Cohn is second on finance. The amount of time that was spent in there, Mayor, I know that you met with everyone as well. And all of my council colleagues were so actively involved in this process. They have always been, but particularly of interest this year. And so I just felt before we move forward with adopting this budget, I needed to take a moment of gratitude publicly to acknowledge the good work that was done by both of you in stewardship with all of our department heads on behalf of all of the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President. Anybody else? None. I'm going to close it to the council now and ask for a roll call.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Bob. We have nothing on first read. Nothing on first read tonight. We're going to move to ordinance on second read. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Under second reading, capital ordinance providing funding for the various capital purposes for the borough, appropriating $690,000 for such purposes. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
In order to providing funding for various capital purposes for the Borough of Rutherford and for appropriating $690,000 for such purpose.
Thank you. I'd like to move the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilwoman Delray Cone. I'm going to now open it up to the public for this subject and this subject matter only. Almost there. Almost, no, not yet. Anybody wishing to speak on this subject? I'm going to close it to the public and open up for any council comment. Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
So when I go like this, that means you're up.
Thank
Council
you.
President.
Thank you, Mayor. Next is the bond ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the Borough of Rutherford appropriating $1.8 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,710,000 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof. Wow. Okay, Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
A bond ordinance authorizing various capital improvements in and for the Borough of Rutherford and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,800,000 thereof, and authorizing the issuance of $1,710,000 bonds or notes to finance part of the cost thereof.
Thank you. I'd like to move the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Mazzone. I'll now open to the public for this subject and this subject matter only. Anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and open it up for any council comment. Missy, can I please have a roll?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, Mayor, is the bond ordinance reappropriating $360,000 proceeds of obligations. Missy, can you please read the ordinance by title only?
Bond ordinance reappropriating $360,000 of proceeds of obligations not needed for the original purposes and to be used for various improvements by the Borough of Rutherford.
Thank you. I'd like to move that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second?
Second by Councilman Delray Cone. I'm now going to open up to the public for any comment on this subject and this subject matter only. Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and open up for any council comment. Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I have, ordinance on second read, amending Chapter 126, establishing a handicap parking space on Woodland Avenue. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
In order to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford to establish a handicap parking spot on Woodland Avenue.
Motion that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Councilman Mazzone. I'm now going to open this up to the public for any comment on this subject and this subject matter only. Seeing none, I'm going to close it to the public and open for any council comment. Seeing none, Missy, may I have a roll call?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
All right, one more and you're up. Councilman.
Ordinance on second read, amending Chapter 126, establishing a handicap parking space on Eastern Way. Missy, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
In order to amend and revise Chapter 126, Vehicles and Traffic of the Borough Code of the Borough of Rutherford establishing a handicap parking space on Eastern Way.
Motion that the ordinance be passed on second reading and advertised according to law.
I have a motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by the Council President. I'm now going to open this up to the public for any council comment, any public comment. Seeing none, I'm going to close to the public and open for the council comment. Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a roll call.
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Errico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Delray Cone?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. You're up.
I don't know if you remember me, but I stopped by your office last year. I'm here on the behalf of Erie Avenue down by Katie's Corner, okay? It's like, we have 5 houses on our block.
Sorry, could you just say your name and address for the record?
Josephine Gottberg, 279 West Erie Avenue.
Thank you.
Okay, so our street is the only one that's not paved down there. It's between Vandenberg and Grand. It's been deteriorating since, I've been there since 1982. It's been patched, and in addition to, it's leading to Katie's Corner, okay, which is where the new fields are. So why is our street not the only one that's not paved? Like, you got Monona, you got every other one, but ours is not, and we only have 5 houses on ours. And I understand, because the last time I spoke to you, there was a discrepancy about Erie Avenue, okay? The county road is up there, and the town road is ours. I called PSE&G, and they told me that the town is responsible for our paving of our street. Mm-hmm.
We can discuss that with the borough administrator, but we don't do back and forths, but I'll let you finish and then we comment.
Okay, so we understand that the city's infrastructure programs are planned, but we encourage the council and to privatize this request to ensure the safety and well-being of all our residents and many of the drivers and pedestrians who utilize this road to access the parks and playgrounds. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. We look forward to prompt response regarding to the steps of our street.
Thank you.
Do you want my letter?
You could give it to the,
Missy?
let's see.
Thank you.
Before I open it up to the council, Bob, can you want to address any part of this?
Thank you. I will take this information. Usually each year we get recommendations from the borough engineer, our DPW superintendent. We assess the streets, part of the recommendations based upon our funding for the year. As you heard tonight, we adopted our capital improvement program for 2026. In that includes about $1.3 million in roadway infrastructure improvements. I don't believe your street's included in 2026, but I will certainly put that on their radar for 2027. And if for some reason when we go out to bid and if the bids come in lower than anticipated and we have some additional funding, maybe we can do something quicker. Not promising you that. Prices don't normally go down, as we all know, but I will certainly bring this small section of West Erie to my engineer's attention and see what we can do. Okay.
Just for the record, Erie is part of the county road system, but I understand that your area. So Bob will address it with I'll let the council speak first. I'm sorry. Anybody for the council wishing to speak? So I'm sorry, Dennis?
If I could just comment, I'm your neighbor. I live on Monona Ave. I greatly appreciate you bringing this to the council's attention. I think the activity not only at Katie's Corner in the Fields, but the community garden, you have an advocate. So I appreciate you taking time to bring that up to us. As the borough administrator said, it's all consistent with planning, but just raising it to us, I think, is tremendous. We appreciate that. Thank you.
And as Bob did say, occasionally, I can't make a full commitment to this, nor can any of us up here, but we do end up with excess. So I'm sure that Dennis will make sure that if there is excess, it's yours. But Dennis will advocate for this, I assure you. We're going to move on now to anybody else from the public? Seeing none. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. All items are authorized to be consent by the council will be enacted by one motion. These items are routine in nature. Motion.
I have a motion by the Council President. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Guzman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Ricon?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. As we have no new business discussions tonight, we'll move on for the council member reports. Council President?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few things. First, I'd like to start, Chief Russo, congratulations to you, the members of your department for their outstanding work. I particularly loved the comment made about organizational excellence, and I think that epitomizes your commitment and has been your commitment your entire tenure in your service as chief to this borough. So I was grateful to hear that being recognized for you and all of the members of our department. So congratulations again. I would like to take just a few brief moments, Mayor, to acknowledge the work of two individuals in our town right now, two young people, since we talked tonight about the Elks recognizing Youth Week. I wanted to recognize two individuals. Currently, we have Kelder Althouse, who is working on his Eagle Scout project. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it is focused on Post 109 for town, and his project is focused on building a walkway that would connect their rear patio to their accessible ramp over on Carmita Avenue, and they're doing it through this idea of people sponsoring pavers. And so my husband being a veteran and a member not of 109, but of another very well-known post represented in this room tonight, the Murray Hodge Lodge. I just think it is a beautiful acknowledgement of the young people in this town that are acknowledging the importance of caring for these spaces that acknowledge the service of our veterans. And so I want to encourage you. He is trying to garner folks to sponsor those bricks. So Kelder, I know you're listening, and I know that you're working on getting that information out, and I promise that as we got it, we would continue to share it, because I think this is a beautiful community project and worth noting. And then equal parts, because I also wanted to share the great work of a silver award of one of the young women in this town who is working on her silver award for Girl Scouts, Sophia Townsend. May 9th, she's working with the Rutherford Lacrosse Day, and a part of her service award is to collect donations for the Rutherford Food Pantry and the St. Peter's Haven Food Pantry. And so that will be taking place on Saturday, May 9th from 12 to 4 o'clock at Tryon Field. And so I just thought it incredibly fitting today, in lieu of what we acknowledged through the Rutherford Elks. I will continue to share all this out, and I want to give a shout out to these two exemplars. There are so many. We have incredible young people that inspire leadership in this town. Shout out to both of them for caring for their neighbors. Bravo. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Councilman Del Reycon. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Koga's not here. Councilman Erica, I apologize.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the Shade Tree Commission and all of our volunteers and employees for Tree Fest, which happened yesterday. The weather actually turned out to be great, super fun event, very family friendly, and it's a great event each year, so thanks for hosting that and inviting everybody. The Green Team is hosting a community cleanup on Saturday, May 9th, starting at 9 a.m. This happens a few times a year, and it's a great opportunity to get outside and help to clean up the town. You can pre-register on the borough website. If you want to participate, check-in for that is at 9 a.m. At Borough Hall on that Saturday. That's all for me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Guzman.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Nothing to report on my assignments, but I want to congratulate our police department for receiving the accreditation of the NJSA COP. That's just when I don't think I could be more impressed with this department. They impressed me again. They never fall short of of following through and making sure that Rutherford is at the top of the game when it comes to public safety. This is a testament to what they've done, what they continue to do day in and day out. And it's not always, we don't always get to thank them enough for what they do for this public. And I'm exceptionally proud of our police department and their efforts in always going this next step, what's next, and that's a testament to our chief sitting here, the department he runs and his esteemed team. So congratulations, Chief, once again, and the entire force for always putting Rutherford first and making sure that we have the best. Thank you very much. The Tree Fest was, I want to congratulate them. I thought it was exceptionally well done. The entertainment was fantastic. There was people all over the place. Booths, information, just the weather even helped out a little bit, opened up later in the afternoon. So it was really, really well done, and I want to congratulate them on an event well planned and well ran. And I think that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Del Reycon.
Thank you, Mayor. With your permission, I was hoping to update the community on the TANAC meeting that occurred. Jim Linsalata gave me an update. I didn't know if you were going to do that as part of your report.
You can do it. I don't have my glasses.
I'm sorry?
I don't have my glasses.
You don't have your
so go
glasses,
ahead.
so I will give an update. For anyone in the community that is unaware, the mayor has a spot on the TANAC committee. The TANAC committee is the Teterboro, I'm going to get the acronym right, the Teterboro Aircraft Noise Abatement Advisory Committee. And I have been speaking about these noise issues caused by the Teterboro flights over our town with some residents for quite some time. There are quarterly meetings that are held through the TANAC committee, and Rutherford resident Jim Linsalata is the mayor's appointee to attend those meetings. I usually try to listen in as well, but I was unable to do so on April 15th. So I asked Jim to give me an update, which he did. He indicates that he thought the meeting went well. For anyone that's unaware, we were awaiting a new approach to the airport that was hopefully going to take some air traffic away from Rutherford and put it more towards Route 17. I'm oversimplifying for the sake of explanation, but basically the new approach to the runway has been in effect since January. But unfortunately, the usage is still relatively low, with only 5% of flights going through this past quarter. The FAA and the Port Authority assess that it's partially due to the FAA and the towers not pushing the approach on the pilots, but also the pilots do have the option to choose the approach they take as long as it's safe, and most of them are most familiar with the old approach to the airport. What the TANAC committee and those that sit on the committee have identified is that they need to find a way to engage in more community outreach. I found that a little surprising because I think there's a lot of community outreach going from the community to the committee, but maybe not from the committee to the community. So they plan on holding an executive session with the Teterboro team to figure out how the Teterboro team can support the community efforts to encourage pilots to use that other approach. Jim did share that in some ways he thinks the airport is stuck between a rock and a hard place because these are, in most instances, commercial pilots paying to fly into Teterboro, so he doesn't really know how much the airport is going to be willing to get on their bad side, but they're hoping to come up with some solutions. The committee has also engaged a consulting company. I think I mentioned this a few months ago when I spoke to this issue. And that company has also identified 2 additional arrival alternatives at the main runway, and they're going to begin discussions of that with the FAA. Of course, this is a very long-term solution, as we saw with the approach that just came to pass this year. That took quite a long time. So any recommendations made by the consultants, I don't want to mislead anyone to think that that will happen quickly. But for now, Jim's recommendation, and I'm inclined to agree, but he's far more educated than I am in all of this stuff, is that the best approach is to try to get Teterboro to encourage the pilots to increase the usage on the new approach that's over Route 17 to take flights away from Rutherford. So I just thought I would share that update. And then for my liaison assignments, I just wanted to remind the community that the Library Gala, which is one of my favorite events of the year, is being held this Saturday, May 2nd. I just went on the Library Foundation website, and it appears there are still tickets. Kim, are there still tickets to the gala? A few. There are a few tickets. So if you're still interested, I would get on that as quickly as possible, and I hope to see as many of you there as I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And I do appreciate the update on the airport, and you're working with Jim. And to your point, the problem that they are facing with the new programming at the airport with the NetJets and the Flex Jets coming in, these are basically Ubers of the sky, and they don't want to pay more than they have to land their aircraft, and that's what we're fighting with. So thank you for that. Councilman Azon.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. I'm going to start with congratulations to the police department and Chief Russo. Professionalism in law enforcement cannot be overstated. Commend you and your officers for the accreditation. Also want to just acknowledge, again, our borough administrator and our CFO on the budget process and all the work and effort that went into that, so thank you. I only have 2 events to touch on. One is this Saturday. So before you go to the Library Gala, you'll have an opportunity to go to the 5th Annual Great Duck Derby, sponsored by the Lions Club here in Rutherford. It's Saturday the 2nd from 1 to 4:30. You can adopt a duck for $5 or a quack pack, which is really cool to say, a quack pack of 6 for $25. So that's a great event. Make sure you check that out. And then in the tradition of scouting, I want to call out American Legion Post 109 and sponsoring Troop 166 for the pancake breakfast the Saturday before Mother's Day. That's going to be May 9th from 9 to 11 at number 2 East Passaic Ave over at the American Legion Post, $10 a person. Also gives you an opportunity, if you buy those tickets online, to donate to the American Legion Post. So helping 2 great causes for one fantastic borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to my report. First, I have the seasonal laborers, Tom Federick, Tom Verdino, effective May 10th, 2026, and Brandon Federick as well, effective June 29th, 2026. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Guzman. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Councilman Del Rey Cohn. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Del Rey Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Next, I have the 2026 camp staff with the attachment. I'd ask for council consent.
Motion?
I have a motion by the council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Maison. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Del Rey Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
And next, I have the 2026 spring track and field assistance memo attached. May I have council consent?
Motion?
Motion by council president. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Del Rey Cohn. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Council President McGowan?
Yes.
Councilman Erico?
Yes.
Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Councilman Del Rey Cohn?
Yes.
Councilman Mazzone?
Yes.
Thank you. And I will end this with a couple of things. Gordon and Bob, thank you. Great job. Councilwoman, Council President, Councilwoman, thank you for doing a great job on finance. Chief Russo, I'm very proud of the work you've done and your service and your staff. Bob, thank you for everything you've done regarding assisting with getting that building built so we can get the accreditation that was needed. And I am so happy that I never, ever have to come to your door and ask if he's in there, and the answer is He's in there with the chief and DMR, because that's when I would just turn around and walk away. But again, thank you for all your hard work, Chief. On a personal note, it was 5 years ago to this week that I had my brain surgery, and I'm very grateful to be in such good health. I just think that as we move into May, and it is Brain Cancer Awareness Month, that everybody should really pay attention to what their body's telling them. So I just wanted to reiterate that. As you all know, when I did go in, I kind of ignored the symptoms in the beginning, and let's not do that, people. I can assure you it doesn't work out well. So thank you for that. And now I will open it up again for hearing of citizens to agenda and agenda items only. Seeing none, I'll close it to the public. Any council comments? Seeing none, I will ask for an adjournment. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Council President. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a great night.